Hi, I'm Gail L. On Tuesday, September 11th, 2001, I was in the lobby of my local high school, which is the neighborhood polling place. It was an election day, small local election. We heard a thud. It was not a loud noise, but it was a strange, like the air pressure changed kind of noise. It's 8:45 in the morning. There's still some kids in the lobby. So I heard one of them say, "Woohoo, some Con Ed transformer blew up. We're going to get a day off school." And then we went outside, and there were papers flying hundreds of feet up in the air, thousands of papers. There's no wind, there's no breeze. Very freaky. I run home. My neighbors are out in the hallway saying, "Papers on fire are landing on the windowsills. What happened? What happened?" We go to our window, but the South Tower completely blocked at the angle that we're at, the South Tower completely blocked our view of the North Tower. So we could not see this enormous building, smoke pouring out of it. We can't see it. My aunt calls me up. She said, she's in California. She says, "They're saying on the news that a plane hit the North Tower, but that's the one away from you guys, right? So you're okay." And for 17 minutes, we were okay. And then that second plane came screaming up Greenwich Street, right into the South Tower. We ran back to the windows in time to see the fireball. Big things starting to fall off the building. My partner says, "We live on the top floor. Something could just come through the roof. We should go down lower in the building." So we go down to the third floor. We're sitting around my neighbor's kitchen table when my neighbor looks out the window and sees the top of the South Tower start to tilt. He yells, "Here it comes, get in the back room," because their back room had no windows. We ran back there, we crouched on the floor, and we waited to die because it was a 110-story building falling down across the street. The whole building shook from the force of the collapse. We could hear things hitting the building. The electricity went out, so everything went dark. I really thought, this is it. I always thought I'd be one of those people who'd be screaming and hysterical, but I just got really calm, and it was like, okay, prepare to meet my maker. The weirdest thing was it felt like my head was being squeezed in and out, which I thought was hysteria. I really thought like my heart is just slamming like this, and like I'm feeling it in my head. But later, the firefighter said, no, that was when that building pancaked down, it was generating pressure waves, and that's what you were feeling. The South Tower comes down. I was panicked. I would have run. We went to the front door of the building. We got out of the apartment and went to the front door of the building, and the guys said, "Stop. We can't see through the smoke, the dust. There's things on fire. We'll get into more trouble trying to go. We should come back into the building." So we came back into the building. Half an hour later, the South Tower comes down. No, I'm sorry. I have that mixed up. The South Tower came down first, then the North Tower. So half an hour later, the North Tower comes down. We are across the street, but we don't know what's happening. It's happening again. We don't realize the buildings are entirely collapsing. By 11:30 in the morning, the air had cleared enough for us to see, so we got out. We had to go south. There was debris everywhere else. It was the only way open to us, and our goal was just to get to a building that still had its windows intact. And we had to come to where the Tribute Center is right now to find that building. That's where we could go into a lobby where the windows were still whole. They were coated with that dust, but they weren't broken. So we came inside. Like I said, it was a warm day. I was wearing a shirt just like this one, and I kept trying to brush dirt off of it. I finally looked down and realized it was pinhole burns. At 11:30 in the morning, there was still enough molten material flying around to land on our clothes and burn through. So I started to laugh that I was trying to brush burn marks off my shirt, and I heard my voice start to go hysterical. Like the events of the day were just catching up, and I couldn't handle it. And I just pulled it back. I looked down. I wouldn't look at anyone, and I thought, I know how many people work in those buildings. I know there are so many more people in so much more trouble than I'm in right now. I cannot add to the chaos of this day by freaking out. So I just didn't look at anyone for the rest of that day. We ended up with friends on Canal Street. We could not sleep that night. I remember watching the sun come up and looking down on Canal Street, and the National Guard is rolling in. We were not allowed to return even for a visit until about 2 weeks later. We got a call and were told that we would be allowed a police escorted visit, 15 minutes, police escorted visit back into our building. By that time, there was a perimeter fence up around the whole area, so we had to meet at this checkpoint. They swung the fence open. I walked down my street, and I just wept. The high school where I had been voting had morgue spray painted really big on the side of the building. They had to use the cafeteria freezers and refrigerators as temporary morgue space. In the immediate aftermath of September 11th, I thought, there's no way I'm ever living in that building again. The whole area was a graveyard to me, and it was just too sad. But by the time they let us move back into that building, after all the cleanup was done, after they cleaned up the perimeter buildings, it was over a year later. And by that time, I was in a survivor support group. So I talked it over with my group, and I said, I'm going to try. It's going to be my way of remembering all those people that I waited online at the bank with, that I got coffee with in the morning. My whole neighborhood was in the World Trade Center, in that big mezzanine, that big concourse level. And it has been a way of remembering. I make my living as a pet sitter, and this being New York City, I'm so specialized. I only take care of people's pet birds. I can make a living doing that in New York City. So that day, September 11th, I had 8 birds in my care, everything from a big macaw to a little cockatiel, and I could not figure out how we were going to get them out. And that's when Nat said to me, we have to take them. They're not going to let us come back. And I remember looking at him and saying, but we live here. Who's not going to let us come back? Just not processing. So he's the one, we got them downstairs in their travel cases. He borrowed sheets from our neighbors and stacked up the travel cases and made these bundles. And then he hung the bundles off of a broomstick. That's how we left the building, with him carrying this broomstick across his shoulders with these bundles of bird cages in them, looking like every picture of fleeing refugees you've ever seen. But we got out, and the birds got out, and all those owners who were on vacation and could not come back to New York because flights and cruises and everything else was just stopped, eventually filtered back and got their birds back. One of the consequences of September 11th, I did not have a cell phone in 2001, and I had to get one because now, we're staying with different friends, moving around, and after an event like that, your friends and family have to call you every day. But also, all my bird clients in New York who had dropped their bird off with me across the street from the South Tower were calling. Are you okay? Are the birds okay? Is your building still there? What do you need? Can we help you? As a result, my first ever cell phone bill was over $600. I freaked out because I work from home. Now I have no home to work from. Everything is up in the air. So a friend said, Gail, the city has concentrated all the services for September 11th victims on Pier 94. Maybe someone there could help you. Up to that point, I'm getting my first bill, so we're like maybe 6 weeks out from September 11th. Up to that point, for me, a victim of September 11th was a family member, not me. I got out. We got the birds out. But with that bill, I was like, okay, I'm ready to ask for help. I went there. They directed me to an organization called Safe Horizons, which was administrating the local United Way funds. They looked up my address in their little temporary computer on their temporary metal desk, and I guess it popped up on some map, and they said, bring us the bill. We'll pay it. And that was it. Done. I'm not someone who ever needed help paying her bills, but I needed help then. And that was everyone who called in, those telethons, sending money and letters and prayers to New York. And it got here, and it helped people like me. I mentioned that I was voting in the lobby of the local high school. The principal of that high school is named Ada Rosario Dolce, and we knew her from the neighborhood. So when we were able to move back, she was one of the people that we wanted to check in with and see, what happened, how she handled things. And we found out that she successfully evacuated that high school. All 550 students got home safely that night. And the entire time that she was doing it, she knew that her sister Wendy was at work on the 105th floor of the North Tower. Wendy worked for a company called Cantor Fitzgerald. They lost 658 employees that morning. If you watch this and you go to the memorial, if you have a chance, go to panel N53. So that's N for North Tower. The panels are numbered, so on the number 53 panel, and look for the name Wendy Rosario Wakeford in memory. Thank you.
Thank you, Gail. I just want to ask you one bonus question because we're, in the year of the 20th anniversary. Just wanted to kind of get your thoughts, reflecting on the last 20 years, how life has changed for you, just kind of your thoughts about, everything that's happened in the year since then.
I remember at the 5th anniversary, our just downstairs neighbors just died in the wool New Yorkers. So when we were finally able to move back into our building, everyone, and the whole process of moving back into our building, all of us as neighbors were in touch with each other. What's the situation with FEMA? What's happening with this? Did you get word on this? When will we be able to move back in? So our doors were just open all the time, and people were going in and out. And at the 5th anniversary, Missy said, "Yeah, things are getting back to normal. It's less Mayberry, more New York," which just cracked me up. And it was true. It was true. Everyone was kind of going back. After September 11th, one of the birds I was taking care of, when the owner got back and got his little bird, Fez, he said, my sister lives in Oklahoma City, and she would like to speak with you. And I said sure, because Bob was a friend, and I was totally willing to speak with his sister. And she told me about living through the 1995 Oklahoma City bombing. And she told me, it was horrible. It was horrible, but I can tell you that it made us stronger. And when I spoke to her in the months after September 11th, it was inconceivable to me that event would ever make me stronger. It took about 10 years, but I can say that it did. Even though I still tear up telling these stories, it did. It did make me stronger. It did make me appreciate life and the people I know exactly the way everyone says. The neighborhood has changed a lot. To me, it feels like less of a neighborhood, but the memorial remains a very, very important and special place to me. And the Tribute Center. Thank you, Tribute Center. It's been part of my healing to be able to talk this through and tell my story to so many people before COVID, face to face, to just watch people's faces as they listen to what I was saying, to have them be so sympathetic. A big part of my healing. Thank you.